have a good night. But anyway.
Oh, no.
All right. She brought a little levity to it. Yeah.
Oh, man. We appreciate your comments, Bill.
Hold on.
I heard the professor earlier, and I believe he is a wise man. Now, he told a few people, you have read my mind multiple times, and I think he has a very large head, but I believe he can take it back. Won't he do it?
Okay, bye.
Why don't you do this, Kyle, and hit the exit on that button on that studio board and get rid of this.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Never
hey, everybody. It's Kyle A.
No.
All right, guys. All right, we're going to get back to the show. Thank you, Beulah. And you can see where my son gets his acting from. So, okay, Brendan, man, let's go to you and Remy right now. What are your thoughts on the Saints and what they're going to do with these picks, man?
Well, I have about 4 players I'm really looking at right here, and it's Barnett, Reddick, Reuben Foster, and if by some odd chance Christian McCaffrey's there, I'm looking and thinking, well, McCaffrey's not going to be there. I'm going to have the opposing view. Hassan Reddick scares the crap out of me, and here's why. You look at the history of guys whose stock just skyrocket right before the draft, and it is very hit or miss. I mean, I guess the entire draft is very hit or miss, and that's how it can be. But I've never seen somebody's stock rise like this. And for me, that's a little bit of a red flag. Given I agree with the points that were made, he has the potential to be a superstar. You can just watch the film. But he scares me. There's been a lot of talk about Barnett being a possible bust as well. I think it's a hard spot to pick at 11. But I think if the Saints really want to get a hit here at 11, if Reuben Foster is there, you can't pass on him. I think every one of us has said it. He's a top 5 talent in this draft. He's a guy that can make an immediate impact on the field. Now, the Saints would have to figure some things out because of some of the off-season moves, bringing in a guy like A.J. Klein, who I think is going to be an absolute steal for the Saints, bringing him over from Carolina. And then having Manti Te'o as well. Is there a way you can get all 3 of them on the field? Can one of them move weak? Can one of them move strong side? I know the Saints have already discussed that a little bit, and then be able to plug in Reuben Foster
in the
middle.
But Brendan, also the problem with Te'o, man, we got to figure out what we're going to do with his girlfriend.
Oh, I knew that was coming, too. I knew when that was coming. Hey,
let her hang out with Beulah.
There you go.
Well, she is angelic, so she could be a saint too.
Beulah sounds like she hangs out with imaginary friends.
Oh my goodness. Well, go ahead, Brendan. I apologize, man. Go ahead.
Hey, that was a good one. I was just waiting for it, and then Remy's able to take it to that next level, and that's what Remy's really good at. So,
well,
there's the line. Remy barely crosses it 9 times out of 10.
Let me ask you guys this, man. You seen Klein play? I'm not sold on Klein. I think he might be a good special teams guy or a guy to back up. But some guys think he can actually compete for a starting job. And I'm thinking, that's why we have Robertson, right? Or, I mean, why would we need to bring in another middle linebacker? What's your thought?
Well, see, the thing that I heard.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bob.
I apologize. I actually expect Klein to start in the middle.
Really?
First of all, he came from Sean McDermott's system, and McDermott was high on him. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't make a run on him, trying to get him into Buffalo. But the Saints moved on him pretty quick. As far as Robertson, I mean, I loved that signing last year. Robertson can move over onto the strong side. I would plug Klein in the middle. He's not the best cover guy in the world, but next to Robertson, he has been better than what we have had at that middle linebacker position, and probably since Vilma was there. So two of my three if I'm going to go 4-3, two of my three linebackers would be set. I would put Klein in the middle, put Robertson on the strong side, and then, fill the weak side. Well, I already said who I would pick at 11. That'd be my weak side linebacker. With Ellerby filling in, you wouldn't have to count on him to be healthy 16 games. He could be the playmaker at spots. And then in obvious nickel situations, you move Robertson into the middle and take Klein off of the field if he does turn out to be a liability in coverage. Sorry to interrupt you, Brendan.
No, you're fine. Absolutely fine. I see Klein, and I've heard talks of Klein moving over to the weak side when he comes to New Orleans. I really liked Klein. I think one of the things with him was he was stuck behind the best middle linebacker in the entire world right now.
Right.
He got stuck behind Kuechly. And when Klein was given the opportunity to shine because Kuechly's injuries this year, he did a pretty good job. I can see him moving over to the weak side. And if you're asking me, and you take Reuben Foster at 11, because he should be there because of some of those red flags. But as someone said earlier, there's not a lot of players in this draft without red flags. And frankly, when it comes to Reuben Foster, I'm willing to take that risk because he could be a top 5 pick without some of those flags. So it would look something like this for me. It would be Foster in the middle, weak side linebacker Klein, and Teo on the strong side with the call still coming from Manti-Te'o, and letting Foster kind of develop a little bit, unlike what we did with the last time we drafted a linebacker in the first round and put all the pressure play calling on him from the start. And we've seen how Stephon Anthony's worked out in New Orleans. But if I'm at 11 and Reuben Foster's on the board, you pull the trigger. It's a no-brainer. The ends here scare me because of just how high the pick is. When you go to 32, you can do a couple different things. And I love the fact that the Saints have the 42nd pick of the draft as well, because it's high enough up there to where you're getting a really solid player in the second round, and someone's battling the slip out of the end of that first round. So I'm thinking you can go corner here, but the guy that I really like in this draft, and his stock's risen a little bit as of late, was a projected second-round pick, but has found his way into the end of the first round, is T.J. Watt from Wisconsin. A guy who a lot of people are going to be giving me it's always scary to draft a guy who's J.J. Watt's brother. He had one really good year at Wisconsin, but some of the encouraging things, the guy's able to play. He's a little versatile. He can play outside linebacker. He can put his hand in the dirt and play defensive end. So if you're asking me with the Saints, you go and get Reuben Foster 11. You get T.J. Watt, a versatile guy, at the end of the first round. You go get your corner at 42 because there's going to be somebody there. And when it comes to T.J. Watt, we've all noticed it. We all know it. It's not a surprise to anybody. Since Junior Gillette, we have not had any help for Cameron Jordan. I love bringing back Nick Fairley. I don't think anybody's mentioned that so far in the show. I think bringing Nick Fairley back was a great thing for New Orleans if you're able to get the same production out of him as you did last year. That's why you gave him a deal like you did. I think that's a huge part. Now you just got to find a guy to team up with Cam Jordan. One of you guys said Kikaha's name. The big question is, can he come back from knee surgery? But I think that's a forgotten name on this defense. Because remember, his first year, he had 6 sacks. He had four forced fumbles in limited playing time his first year in New Orleans. If you're able to get some production out of him, maybe some production out of Watt here, you're looking at something, at least something, and some upside on the opposite side of Cam Jordan. And like I said, at 42, it's wide open depending on what corners fall out of the first round.
Right.
And it also is going to be very curious to see how Mike Nolan is able to develop Stephon Anthony, because some of Stephon Anthony, I'll be quite honest, was a coaching problem. Also, Bill Johnson didn't stay too long, because the same cycle to a lot of defensive players, and in true admission, those problems were also caused by the coaching staff. This defense has been bad for a while. It's not just the players; it has been the coaching also, and so they've moved on. And Mike Nolan has a strong defensive background because you're going to need depth. The Saints linebackers and cornerbacks were riddled with injuries. And also with Roman Harper probably retiring and moving on, you're bringing back Raphael Bush. You're going to probably need to look at a safety somewhere also on defense, the backfield. And I just want to add this to everybody and to the listeners. One thing that everyone needs to recognize with the 2016 season with the Saints, that the New Orleans Saints went 2-5 in games in which the offense, not the defense, the offense did not score any more than 26 points. So as potent and as wonderful as the statistics look for the Saints offense, when they're ranked in them rankings, you need to go back and look at 7 of the Saints games. The offense was not prolific. And the record was 2-5. And then at one of those 2 wins, the defense won both of those games against Seattle and San Diego. So what I've been trying to tell people is go back and look at the Saints offense in the second half of the season. With the exception of the Arizona game and the Rams game, Drew Brees and that offense was not very prolific. And part of the reason was that the Saints offense turns over. It doesn't matter who the Saints draft on defense now. If Drew Brees and the Saints offense do not stop turning over the ball, they are simply turning over the ball too much. If you go back to the Kansas City game, you had a pick 6 and a Mark Ingram fumble. If you go back to the Tampa-Detroit game, you had 6 interceptions. Go back to the Denver game, you had 2 Michael Thomas fumbles and 2 Drew Brees interceptions. Go to that Carolina Thursday night game, same thing. The Saints easily could have been 11-5. The defense was not great, but that defense played much, much better in the second half of the season. In fact, in almost all of those games, I think only one game, the Arizona game, when they gave up more than 10 points in the second half. So if you can get a few pieces, and what I'm afraid is going to happen to the Saints, we'll fix the defense this year. And with Brandon Cooks and Hightower gone, the Saints offense has no speed, and now every drive is going to be 75 yards a drive because you don't have any home run or big play hitters. Maybe again, get you 3 or 4 touchdowns, who knows? But now the offense will be like the 2012 year, where the offense began to struggle because Robert Meacham had left, Devery had begun to decline, and the offense was struggling on their drive. So it's very imperative that the Saints find speed on offense and at a wide receiver. You're going to definitely need Kobe Fleener and whatever Josh Hill's status is, Brandon Coleman. Those guys have got to step up because what the Saints are winding up doing, and I've seen this numerous times following the Saints for 40-some years, we get a defense, and now all of a sudden the offense is slumping. So it's imperative you go back and look at those 2016 games. Some of the problems were not the defense. And I know we like to quickly blame everything on the defense, and I know the defense has been atrocious. But go back and look at the second half of the Saints season when they got to 4-4 and what happened the rest of the season with the offense. It was not as high potent as you think. And we remember what happened also in that Giants game. Their record was 2-5, and what is also very disturbing is that the Saints' record against winning teams is really, really bad. The Saints have not had any signature wins over winning teams with the exception of Seattle last year and the Green Bay Packers in 2014 when they played on that Monday night or Sunday night game. They are not able to beat teams with winning records anymore over the last 3 years. So you've got to fix all of these things, and they have lost. Since the San Francisco game, the Saints have lost a total of nearly 20 games by 7 points or 8 points or less.
Okay.
So we've got to start winning these close games, and usually that difference in those close games are the turnovers.
All right. Well, good analysis there, Professor. And Remy, we're going to turn it over to you, and we're going to wrap up things from there. Remy, what are your final thoughts on the draft, man?
Oh man, well, this is how I watch a draft. This is how the draft works for me. See, you guys have the different draft boards.